My guest this week is Christina Chen, an entrepreneur who's had a fascinating background, who's not only developed a hugely innovative, truly candidate-led model where candidates are both trained and placed, but who now runs AI First Talent, which is a groundbreaking business helping other businesses build a workforce fit for the AI era. If you want to understand as a recruitment business leader or as a leader how to embrace AI, how to use it to transform your business, how to use it to get more business, implement AI without disrupting your current operation, then do listen in. This is absolutely fascinating. A massive welcome to the TRN podcast to Christina Chen. Christina, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gordon, for having me here.
We are going to be talking all about AI and how businesses and recruitment businesses can get even more business than they are doing currently, using and embracing AI, a topic that I am no expert in, Christina, so I'm absolutely looking forward to this one. So before we get into the nitty gritty, just your journey is fascinating. So just tell us how you've introduced yourself, who you are, your business, and then let's understand your journey to bring you here.
Great. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Christina. I'm the CEO of AI First Talent. We give B2B companies like recruitment businesses, AI specialists who we've trained so that these companies can use AI to sell more, get more revenue, get more business. How do we get to where we are today? It's really a combination of just looking at how we can best serve the market, right? What the opportunity is and what we're best placed to do. AI, we've been in AI for a long time. We all know that AI is in fact not new, but ChatGPT has really kind of brought it to the forefront, made it more mass market. And AI, in my books, is really a once in a decade opportunity for companies, for any companies, not only tech, for companies to leapfrog, because you suddenly have a technology that is not purely relying on how many people you've got on your team. And it's a really unique time to be here as business owners to use that technology to leapfrog your competition.
Yeah, and
no matter how big.
And is that why because you I'm not going to go all the way back to your days at Cambridge, but you've had a fascinating career, and you as a recruiter, you really started thinking about how you can best support employers, the type of leading edge talent and candidates that they could find. So you've always, ever since I've known you, you've had a slightly different way of looking at businesses and how you can help them. But now you've gone full on into AI, and that I guess is because that's the opportunities there, and it's now.
Yes. So just a little bit of background then for everyone listening. I've come from a tech background. I studied computer science at Cambridge University, and I was in technology. I was a software engineer myself, and then works in businesses, investments, and etc. Actually investing in tech businesses as venture capital, really looking at how companies scale. And one of the biggest parts, as everyone knows, is any company, whether tech or not, is how you build your best team. And that's scaling and getting the talent in. We've had this journey of myself going into data science, machine learning, PhD level, very technical individuals. But really, I think that in the last 12 months, what we've seen is that's no longer in the PhD level specialist realm. AI has now come out to transform sales, marketing, B2B businesses, online businesses, offline businesses, everything, right? And we've seen companies actually using some cutting edge ones who's really using AI to really just get themselves more business, and how they've within a few months transform themselves to be way better than, or way faster, moving way faster than their competition in the entire industry. So we really sat down and thought, wow, if this is so powerful and we've seen it working, why don't we use this to empower more of others? And also this is part of the reason I wanted to So join you, Gordon, here on this podcast is just to spread that message that actually every business should be looking at technologies like this to help them flourish, accelerate, really. Yeah.
I think, and it's interesting because if I think across our community at TRN, we've got some people who would be the early adopters, who've got it, gone for it. But probably the vast majority is still people a little bit like me saying, okay, I get the principle of it, but how do I apply it into my business? Is that what you're seeing when you're having conversations?
The landscape is moving very fast, I have to say. Yes, there are different, there's always, for anything, there's always a curve, adoption curve, right? There are early adopters, then become mainstream, etc. But this has really come out, a lot of more and more business owners are coming to us really asking the question, how can I get started? The question used to be, oh, what is this all about? I think a lot more companies are now understanding how strategic it is. In my opinion, AI is no longer just important, relevant, not only relevant, but important, but increasingly actually urgent, because we see companies themselves start to do it. And if you're not doing certain things, then you are not you're falling behind, basically. Your competitors are getting ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So just talk me through for a recruitment business, and there are many out there. A recruitment business, why is AI important right now for anybody running a recruitment business? And that might be an obvious question, but I want to hear it from you because you are all over this stuff.
I think the biggest thing I want to say is a mindset shift. Is for recruitment business, the first debate when ChatGPT first came out, the debate was, hey, is AI going to replace me, replace my business, etc. But now really I'd like to frame it as a mindset shift. If you don't do AI right now, if you don't work with AI, AI won't replace your business, but your competitor with AI will. That's why it's important. You're seeing companies using AI to get more business, serve their customers better, be more efficient. All of that feeds back to a more successful business. You can reinvest, you can have more profit to grow, all that. And that's what we can talk about, unpack more today.
Yeah. Okay. So you talk about it can improve efficiency, which we get, improve the customer experience, client or candidate, and then business development. So let's go into a bit of depth about business development. You're running a business development is critical.
Yeah.
The job flow currently is maybe not what it was a while back. So how would AI really impact that?
We use what we call a plus and minus framework. I think it's useful here for anybody, really. Plus and minus, what do we mean by that? You can all ask the question, what do I want to spend more time on? What do I want my team to spend more time on? And what do I want my team to spend less time on? We advise companies just to map it out. You can do that in your, among your own teams, to map out all the activities, big and small, you want to spend more versus time on, and look at where AI, if AI, and where AI can help. Okay. We find that's the best way to help companies because AI can be used in so many ways. So let's take some examples here. On the plus, spend more time on that. Many, we hear is lead generation, right? Get me more leads, more qualified leads. I give you a story here. So one of the companies we know, they've already been doing webinars. So one of their lead generation channels is LinkedIn webinars, right? So they talk about how for their specific vertical, how you can attract the best talent, best practices, etc. They've already been doing that, but they realized even though they invest resources, time into these webinars, the engagement is not as high as they liked it to be. We've all been there, right? You sign up to webinar, it sounds interesting, the topic, and then you don't show up, or you log in for 10 minutes and leave. What they've done, just as a small example here, is to use a chatbot to engage with the people who have signed up before the webinar. So let's say I've signed up for a webinar to listen to this topic from this recruitment business. When they've signed up, they actually ask for in their specific case, they use text quite a lot, but you can use email, LinkedIn, doesn't matter. And then they start to engage with me already and say, hey, Christina, what do you want to hear about? What's the topic that you really want answers on, etc. Just by having that conversation, and that can be chatbot. If you had a team that normally should be done by humans.
Yeah.
The participants realize, actually, by going to this webinar, I'm going to get my questions answered. They're actually going to tailor to me. This has skyrocketed their engagement, attendance on the webinar, 9-fold. In fact, they measured before about 10% of people who sign up, they call engage. Engage meaning turning up and actually staying for at least half an hour, if it's a 45 minutes webinar. After they've implemented a chatbot, it's 90%. So 90% of people actually stay half an hour engage on the webinar that they hold. And then obviously there's a lot more you can do with it afterwards, following up the leads, etc. That's just a very small example of what you can do more, right? But the important thing is not just by doing more. There's also the other side is, how can you take away the time that's wasted, right? So typical, even just last week, I sat down with a recruitment business, about 20 people. And I asked around the table a few different function leads, what do you want to spend less time on?
Yeah.
Typical ones, sales team would be saying, or business development side would be saying, less meeting notes, hate taking meeting notes, hate putting it into CRM, scheduling meetings back and forth takes a long time, even contracts, just some terms, paperwork takes time, the tedious work, right? A lot of that can be done. Actually, that's a quick win, low-hanging fruit that can be streamlined and used, whether that's automation or not even AI automation can be done. Another one that the CEO of that business mentioned is, how can you identify low-value accounts, right? They want to spend less time on businesses that are not serious, job positions that are not priority, etc. And you can use data to do that. So things like that, these are just some of the examples that you can use AI to do more or less, depending on the area.
Such a great question and such a great exercise to do to kick it off, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's say you've got a business of 20 heads. You do the exercise. I'd love to do more of that. I'd love to do less of that. I'm going to presume the list that comes out of that is there's going to be a fair few things on it. How do you kind of therefore implement it? Do you prioritize the ones that you say, well, that'll have the biggest impact, or do you pick off one and go for that and prove it?
Yeah, great question. Great question. We use another framework called Win, Expand, Transform. So we got to just to set the scene a little bit. With AI, the common pitfall we see any businesses have is it gets overwhelming very quickly, right? Yeah. It's, oh my God, I can use it in 100 different ways and I can see all the opportunity. That's great. But then it gets very overwhelming very quickly. So what we suggest we're seeing working well is the Win, Expand, Transform framework. What does that mean? Win is the quick win. So we're not even talking about the biggest gain and all that yet, just the quickest win. Pick one. Pick one on that list, quick win.
Prove it. That's just saying prove it. Just show
the value, but also win the trust of your team.
Yeah.
That's the most important part, is you don't want, let's say, your consultants and all that say, well, okay, I'm busy working on all these and I have all these new processes, tools. For example, the one we see working really well with one of our businesses is just quick win is getting your meeting notes automated, right? Zoom calls like this, transcribes straight into your CRM. By the way, everyone, you don't need to spend half a day inputting your CRM anymore, and everyone chasing you to do so. And that's a huge win. And all the teammates on board is saying, oh my God, this is the best thing that the company has done for me. What more can you do for me, right? Entire conversation shifts. So you always start with that. So that's what we call by win. And then you can expand. You can think about, how do we customize our lead generation better, right? Like the webinar chatbot example I gave. How can I use AI to get buyer signals, clever things you can do, see if the company is hiring, if they got new funding, someone's, they're leaving, potentially need replacement. There are certain things that the database and intelligence and AI can feed in. But before you do all that, get the win. And then the last step is transform, we call, is very few companies getting there right now. It does take time, and transform is really where you get the entire team to the next level. The one very good example is sales coaching with AI. So you can do things where you want every single person on your team to be performing at their best level. So it could be, for example, they're on the call with a client or prospects, right? There are things popping up that are part of your script, part of your playbook, how you qualify your clients, whatever it is, you have that, what we call the playbook, spelled out, and then can pop out on the screen for the consultant or the sales rep, however you call them, in your organization, to help them perform their best when they're speaking with prospects. And that's when you not only have the process in place, but you have 10. If you have 10 people on your business development team, 10 people firing up at their best level, and that's the transform piece. But you have to go through this journey. If you go straight to transform, you will lose the team very quickly.
So transform is almost the game-changing stuff.
Yes.
A business, recruitment or otherwise, that has transformed will really be at the forefront of AI. Okay.
Yes. And what does that look like? A lot of people say, hey, especially for CEOs who say, I want to create this vision for my team, right? What does that look like when the business transform? The best example I can give, and some of the teams we see are on the journey there, is imagine let's say you have 10 people as your recruitment consultant, and 10, if we're talking about business development here, let's say 10 people who are bringing new business in for you. You see these 10 people, you're giving each of them almost their own lead generator, their own LinkedIn marketer, their own sales assistant, with technology, with AI, right? So every one of the 10 has their own mini team, and a lot of that, 80% is done automated, obviously. Yeah. But imagine the power that every single sales rep has their own lead generator, lead generation done, and LinkedIn, post done, and all that. That's transformation, really, truly.
Yeah, no, really interesting. And actually, even as you're talking, I was thinking, actually, if you had that in place, if you had gone through the transform phase, had that, then if you're talking to great talent who's maybe wants to join another recruitment or come over to you, that's a hell of a sell, isn't it?
Yeah.
We will help it. Because we know that people get attracted also by the tech and the tools that the company, but this is taking it to a whole new level.
It's a competitive advantage, right? You're creating for yourself, because it's a competitive market. It's also, when you're speaking to clients, even, to attract, not only attracting your own team members, your clients, how do you do things, how things are done behind the scenes, under the hood, right? And that's a very, very powerful edge. You can use as well. Yeah.
So, but the way you describe it, a couple of really simple exercises that anyone can do, but but it must go wrong. How does it go wrong? So you must get businesses and organizations who say, right, I'm going down this. Where do they get it wrong? What are we going to avoid?
Right. Well, going around, nothing is disastrous. I think first of all, it's good to start working on it, start experimenting with it. But in terms of common pitfalls we see, right? Number one is just overcomplicating the tech stack. This is almost the perfect excuse, right? Is that, well, okay, the new tool, shiny new things. But that just adds so much more complexity. The good news is we're at this, yes, there are, I think I've seen the stats, 150 new tools coming out every week right now in AI. Wow. It's a crazy time. But the good news is a lot of the existing CRM anyone will be using are coming out with their new features, with their AI features. So quite often it's just understanding what they're releasing, what they've already released, the roadmap of that, just utilizing that before you add a whole bunch more tech stack. That's number one. Number two is when everyone talks about AI, people get sort of sucked into the tech, the tools very quickly. But actually the most important thing is your team, is not losing the trust. I was talking about having the trust on your team. Yeah. is the mindset, is the processes, is the environment, rather than, hey, this is specific to ABC we're using. Is how do you get everyone to adopt? The adoption is the most important piece. If you can't get that right, quite often you just invest a bunch of time and haven't gone very far.
So it's like any change process, you got to get the buy-in.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
And okay, that's interesting. Now you've built up a Gen AI squad. Who are these people? How many have you got?
Generative AI. So really we're going back to our journey a little bit. We've seen so many businesses that some have gone very far, right? I mentioned about some where they are on the transformation journey, and some had, amazing wins, 9-folds on, just one small tweak on the webinar, for example. And we thought, okay, there must be a way to help more companies do this. But the biggest barrier is the talent shortage, right? Where do we start? Who's going to do it for me, right? So what we've done is really just train up. So we pre-train we find young talent, typically from graduate level. We train them up specifically on 2 things. One is obviously the latest AI, and in this case, generative AI, if we want to be technical about it. Second is sales practice, best practice. Because we're so focused on B2B sales, and we want AI really to get your sales engine, your new business going before just anything else, really. So they are trained on these best practice on B2B sales and generative AI combined. Then they can come in onto your team, really understand, map out, for example, some of the frameworks we just talked about, and get it implemented so you start to see results. Yeah.
So, but they are going in effectively as an agent of change as opposed to an employee.
Both models are possible, depending on the investments that, or the maturity, I guess, where every company is at in their journey. From the beginning, is most cost effective and time effective if you bring, we become the employer that in that case. We give you the consultants. They come in and implement it for you. We already start to see companies say, well, this is so strategic. Actually, let's take 2 of your squad members, AI squad members. One we put in sales, one we'll put into, operations, for example, into recruitment, because they are going to continue. This is not a done and once and that's it, process, right? And they continue to work with their sales team, their recruitment operations team to continually improve. And there's a relatively low cost way of doing so.
How do you when you say you train the squad on leading edge AI, and there's 150 new bits of AI coming out every week, who trains them, and how do they keep up to date?
Good question. We are all in the journey together. So there's a boot camp that everyone goes through at the beginning. So that's the intensive 3-week boot camp they start with, where they are getting a lot of information. I'll get to the who and all that in a bit. And then the important part is the ongoing, because again, AI is, as you say, it's coming out all the time. For a 2-year period, there's our time frame right now. For a 2-year period, they get continuous development on the job, right? So roughly they spend about 4 or 5 hours a week on new things that are coming out, new trainings we give them, and bite size. And we're bringing the best in class teachers to train them, because then they can be the best squad, right? That's all it's about. We've done it between me and my business partner. We've done this model for 250, 300 people now. So we're very familiar with that. In the generative AI piece, we have people coming from Oxford University, actually we partner with. And on the X panel, we have people from Google, from Apple, from Meta, from Alan Turing Institute, which is from a more institutional point of view. How do you use AI, and where is AI going? Right. And then the latest tools that's coming out. Then the ongoing piece is our own library of the expert recorded or our own library of training, but actually the most important piece is the community, right? Is all these squad going out to different companies and seeing, oh, right, actually, we've done it this way. This really works, right? Feeding that back. And, oh, this didn't quite work because of ABC. So that knowledge is invaluable because it's not just theoretically how you use a tool or how you do X, Y, Z. It's when the rubber hits the road. And that real life case study, you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. So how do, if somebody's listening to this, I mean, you and I had a chat, you're going to do some stuff with us, so I'm so excited about this, but how can anybody reach out? Where do we get to you? How might they start saying, Christina, heard you on the podcast with Thierry and Gordon, can we have a chat? How does it work out? Do you check out the business, or do you?
Yeah, best way is probably find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Christina Chen, Chen, Christina is CH.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can link it in the show notes. On LinkedIn from AI First Talent. The reason why I say LinkedIn is not only you can find me and DM me, and we can have a one-on-one conversation, and we have strategy calls that our team can get on. But more importantly, we regularly post tips, best practice that we see, the conversation we have with other business owners. If you just see my account, and you can get a lot more free sort of resources and insights there as well. That's why I think best to find me there.
Such an exciting space, Christina. In fact, it's so exciting. I think we need to get back together sooner rather than later, just to hear what you're seeing, what's happening with the squad, what's coming out. And I think it's really, really exciting what you're doing.
Thank you, Gordon. I hope that many business, I not only hope, I have seen this can transform a lot of businesses. Yeah, no, and we certainly see it across the community where you get the early adopters. You do steal a march, and it's hard to catch up with people. So the more when you're ahead, it's easy to stay ahead because you keep on investing in it. So if you're listening, call up the GNI squad and do speak to Christina, because this is going to be a fascinating space to watch. Thank you, Gordon, for having me. Loved it as always. Thank you, and we will speak again soon. Thank you, Gordon, for having me. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Don't forget to follow the TRM podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for a new exciting episode every week.